Hi. My face probably looks smaller than it usually does, and it's stuck way down in the corner because I'm reading an ebook today, which you can see, called Star-Crossed. And this one I've been saving. It's kind of a long book, but it's a very pretty book, and I wasn't sure how or when or if it would really work in a video, but I thought I'd try it because it's a very beautiful book. So this is called Star-Crossed, which you can see on the screen, and the words or pictures are by Julia Denos. And this is a book about a human girl named Eridani and a boy named Akamar, who is a constellation. And if you don't know what a constellation is, go outside at night, especially now when it's warmer and there are no clouds in the sky, and you see all the stars up in the sky. And if you think of the sky like a giant connect the dots puzzle, you can draw lines between the stars to make pictures. And those pictures are called constellations. There's a constellation called the Big Dipper, which is actually part of a bigger constellation that's a bear, but you can make up any pictures you want. So Akamar is a constellation. So I hope you like this book. Star-Crossed. And there's the night sky. And now you can see some comets, and it looks like the sun. I see 2 moons in the sky. We don't have 2 moons, we only get 1 moon. But I see butterflies, and I see a crane, and some pretty flowers, maybe some palm trees. It was a time when there were still students of the stars. Eridani was one of them. See, she's in class, and I see pictures on the walls of the classroom. I see look like antelopes jumping, and a rabbit maybe, and a dragon's tail. And Akamar, well, he was more of a constellation than a boy. See all of the stars that make up Akamar? And the lines that connect those stars? I think he even has a band of stars around his head. She was made of blood and bones, like you and me, and he was made of space and stars. And even though they lived pretty far apart, they were best friends. At the end of each day, Akamar would call to her over the sunset, "Hey, Eri, can you see me yet?" Eridani would shout into the sky, "Almost." Eridani was always looking up out any window she could. Her eyes were always full of stars. It was how they met in the first place. Looking up so much made her good at sky maps and star plots, so Professor Lunaris put Eridani in charge of the most important celestial projects at school. Every evening after lessons, the students would walk back to their homes in pairs, except for Eridani. She walked alone, but she wasn't really alone. "How was class?" Akamar asked her one night, doing somersaults over a moon. "Good," said Eridani into the sky, "but I still want to know more." "Like what?" asked Akamar. "Looks like there's a sea dragon in the river, or a river dragon in the sea, and blue glowing butterflies. That's pretty. Oh, I think I see pyramids in the background." "Like how ancient are the stars? And how deep is space? Or does it go on forever? How do comets feel?" "They tickle." Ariadne laughed. Akamar smiled. Then he had a question. "Eri, what's sunset like?" Eridani's heart fell, knowing Akamar would love sunset, but he would never get to see one, because he's always in space. She changed the subject. "What's flying like?" Akamar's stars dimmed, knowing Eridani would love flying, but she would never get the chance. He changed the subject too. Want to race the rest of the way? Akamar asked like always. But this time he felt too far. He wanted to be down in the sand. Okay, said Eridani, but this time her feet felt too heavy. She wanted to be up in the stars. Akamar, do people ever wish on stars? All the time. Akamar looked down at the stars in his body and offered them to her. You can wish one on me if you want, he said. Thanks, said Eridani, choosing a bright one near his heart. She wished she could return the favor. She wished they could wish together. Can't you wish, Akamar? I'm not sure, said Akamar. He'd never thought of trying to wish until now. There were Eridani's eyes so full of stars. He chose a bright one right before she closed them. Then Eridani wished on Akamar, and Akamar wished on Eridani. What do you think they're going to wish? I know Akamar wished that Eridani could fly, and I know that Eridani wished that Akamar could see a sunset. I wonder what they'll wish for. Don't peek, or it won't work. I won't. It worked. Sparks tickled in Eridani's skin. Space shimmered blue under her fingernails. Her bones dissolved into stardust as her body filled with light. It will be the best surprise, they thought at the same time as they flickered through the night with their eyes closed. Whoa! Wee! Oh, they're passing each other. Akamar? What? I don't see you. Don't look yet. Eridani couldn't help but look. She could see that her friend was not in his usual place. The sky was empty where he had just been. Akamar! Akamar was too busy to answer her. He was watching his blood and bones appear. He was watching the rivers and sands grow wider, the lights of Eridani's city grow warmer, and the window where she slept grow closer and closer. Look, he landed in her room. So where is she? Boom! I'm here, I'm here. Where? Where? Akamar looked up. There were the stars in the dome of the sky. There was a new constellation where he had just been. There was Eridani? Eridani heard his voice through the misty atmosphere of the planet she had just left. She followed his light past familiar constellations backwards and downwards. There was Akamar, as bright as ever. How did you get way up there? Asked Akamar. I wished, Eridani answered. For what? Asked Akamar. To be where you are, answered Eridani. Oh, Akamar replied. Me too. They switched places. Now Akamar is a boy and Eridani is a constellation. Space settled sadly between them again. For a moment they felt sorry for themselves and for their spent wishes. Well, it worked, said Eridani, shivering. Always does, said Akamar, walking away from his crater. It's different, but the same, said Eridani. We're still apart. Then a comet zoomed across her nose. That tickles! I told you, Eridani laughed. Akamar smiled. Eridani's shiver became a shimmer. It felt good to shimmer. Akamar let his new toes sink into the soft sand. It felt good to sink. And now Eridani is in the sky flying and doing somersaults across the moon. And Akamar is playing in the sand and doing handstands and running and playing with the dog. It's like home, said Eridani, among the stars she loved. Yeah, said Akamar, enjoying the night air on his new skin. But I wish I could see you better. Eyes don't reach very far. He looked up at his friend. She was just a few dots in the sky now. You can have my sky glass, cried Eridani, flying over the desert. Why don't you go to school tomorrow? I left it on my desk. The next evening, Akamar put sandals on. And the dog licked his face. It felt wonderful to have feet. He used them to walk into his first sunset, following the path he'd seen Eridani take every day to school. She called to him from behind the glow. Akamar, can you see me yet? Almost. When he arrived at the observatory, the classroom was echoing with excitement. A shooting star last night, class, and a new constellation in the sky. We need every student on task, rang Professor Lunaris. Where's Eridani? Akamar stepped carefully from the shadows. Maybe I can help, he said. The professor studied him through her glasses. Who are you? My name is Akamar. Akamar, what do you know about the stars? Eridani laughed. Akamar smiled. Plenty. End. And there's a note from the author of this book. She says, deep in our night sky there is a real constellation of stars called Eridanus. It is situated amongst its neighbors Orion, Fornax, and Taurus. Eridanus is also known as the River. In ancient times, the brightest star in Eridanus was called Akamar, or the end of the river. Akamar is actually a binary star, which means that although it appears as a single point of light to our eyes, when we use a strong telescope, we discover a secret. Akamar is made of two stars. Astronomers call them Theta 1 Eri and Theta 2 Eri. I hope you liked that book. Look, there's the night sky again. Let's get our hands ready. Put your hands up, wiggle your fingers, and practice waving, or like this. Now put up your fist, stick out your pointy finger and your pinky finger, and finally, your thumb. And you should be making this sign with your hands. This means, I love you. Ready? Here we go. I love you, goodbye. I love you, goodbye. I love you. I love you. I love you. Goodbye. See you next time. Bye.